David got a new toy. Hey, welcome back to Advanced Geekery. My name is David Gewirtz, and today we're going to be putting up a power lift in my workshop, because of course we will. The reason for this is because I'm always lifting these very heavy boxes with printers and fabrication devices and stuff like that range anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds. And they're a lot to lift, and sometimes the way we do it's really precarious. So by putting them onto an actual lift, they lift, which is cool. So in this video I'm going to show you some of what I learned and some of what we did to put them together so that you can do the same thing. I'm also going to give you links to everything at the bottom of the video so that you can go ahead and do this yourself if you happen to want to. Let's get started. This program is sponsored in part by the Advanced Geekery weekly newsletter. Want exclusive access to my latest ZDNet articles, behind-the-scenes updates on my projects, and must-watch YouTube videos curated just for you? How about fascinating reads from around the web and a chance to have your own project spotlighted? It's all in the newsletter. And the best part, subscribing is absolutely free. Don't wait, click the link below to get your weekly issue and make it awesome. Okay, so I have everything in-house except for the actual winch itself. And that's going to be here in a couple days. So I thought that while I have all the stuff here and as a way to get prepped, I would show you a little bit about how all of this is going together, what the parts are, how I'm assembling it, and all the components that are going to make this thing work. All of the things I got will be in links below because it took me a fair amount of time to figure out how to source this stuff. Now, this is for my workshop in my garage. It's probably not the same for you, but at least the links that I give you will give you at least some idea of what to look for. The biggest one and the most important were these things, which are basically fence post bases, but they're what are going to make the winch hang. So let me show you that first. So this is where the winch is going to go. It's 93 inches from that corner to that corner, but the piece of conduit that I have that the thing's going to hang from is 58 inches, I think, 4 foot 10 inches. So it's going to start roughly here and then just in front of the drill press roughly over here, which isn't too bad. So the nice thing is that this side here matches up there, so I don't have to climb up there to show you what this is. But this is going to go in up there, and as you can see, it goes right across. So what I'm going to do is I have to leave a gap for the space in here for the bolts. I'll show you that in a minute. But this is going to go across. I'm going to put 3 of these, and I'm going to run drills through it. I'm going to run bolts through it that I'm going to have to drill holes for. So one of the things I have here is I got a drill bit that's long enough to make it through that distance, and I bought a spare because they weren't too expensive. They were about $8, and I wanted to make sure that, you know, while I'm doing this in the middle of it, it doesn't fail. And I bought a bunch of bolts that will span this distance and at the same time go through, and you see they'll go through the bolt holes here and they'll attach. So that's that part of the puzzle. Now, all of this is going to be connected to, let me move this over here for a second, this U-shaped conduit, which, let's see, can I pull it back a little bit? Yeah. With this U-shaped conduit, which at the moment is upside down, but this is kind of cool. Let me go over to the other side and show you, because this is what makes the whole thing run. So the winch is going to be attached here and here. Now this is upside down, so this is going to be hanging from these things, kind of like that, right? But upside down. And then the winch is going to attach to this thing, which will go in here. There's 2 of these. which will allow me to move the winch back and forth. Now the fact is I'm going to try to keep the winch close as possible to this post when I'm using it, because this post is providing all the vertical strength, and so it's making sure to spread the weight straight to the ground, which is fine. I mean, I'm only lifting, I'm probably not going to lift much above 50 to 100 pounds, but still. So I have these rolly things, and then I have a few of these rolly things, which are singles, and that's because as the winch moves, I'm going to want the cord to move. So these will support the cord when they'll be hanging down, obviously, but there'll be a couple of these that the cord can be attached to and can follow along with the winch as necessary. So that's the key structure here that we're looking at. Put these away. And then to attach this unistrut to the down drop will be this structure here, which will bolt onto here. So this is going that way, and it's going to bolt on. And then the unistrut in down-facing position will go through here, like so. And then there are screws that'll come in here that'll make sure that this is a really tight connection, giving us kind of this approach. I also bought these end pieces, and the way these work, let's switch back over here. They go into the end of the unistrut. See what they look like there? They go into the end of the unistrut and tighten up. And when they tighten up, they basically prevent the wheels, which would be inside first. They basically will prevent the wheels from exiting the unistrut, which means that the winch won't fall down. So we have those pieces. And then connecting the whole thing are straps. And I got 3 different sets of straps for the 3 different lengths that I'm going to be using. And let me sort of explain what this is going to do here. Let me see if I can show it to you. Let's point the camera that way. So basically, I get a lot of heavy gear in big boxes, like this. Now, that one's not too bad. It's 50 pounds or something like that. But it's still not inconsiderable. So the idea is that the winch straps will go under the item and up, and obviously they'll need to be balanced, but under the item and up, and hook into the winch so the winch can lift. That is the basic idea for what the winch will be when it's time to hook it up. And I'm waiting, I mean, everything else came overnight, courtesy of Prime, but the winch is a week. It's supposed to be here in a couple days. Who knows? We'll find out. Stay tuned. This is kind of exciting. I'm getting a winch, which is also called a hoist. I think hoist is a funny word. I like winch better, so I'm calling it a winch. See you soon. So the winch is up. I did that with a friend off camera because it was a very big job for the 2 of us to do, and it would have been an editing nightmare, and you would have mostly seen us up on ladders, and just wouldn't have been that interesting. But this rolls on its track, and there are 2 other rolly pieces here which make the cord move nicely so that the cord tracks with the winch. One of the things that we did to make this go easier, as you can see, these black brackets are what are holding it to the beam above, is I 3D printed this gauge, really, that goes into here. And so when we put the thing up, we pushed it up to the edge of the gauge, which left us room for the bolt hole and the bolt to be tightened inside. So that gave us the idea of what the clearance was. So this little 3D print, which took about a half hour, made the process of aligning and measuring everything so much easier. So that's where 3D printing fits into the game. So I can't really get the leverage I want to be able to get the used printer, the damaged one, back into the box from up here. I want to get it down there, but the box is a little too challenging to lift as it stands, and it's not fully supported pieces. So we're going to use this as our first attempt of the lift. I have 2 8-foot straps. So I'm going to run one of them crosswise, and basically I want the center in the middle. So this is my center point, and I want the center in the middle. So tip this up, slide that in, do the same on the other side. It's pretty centered. Okay. So the next step is the center strap, which is this thing, and this is actually what's going to lift. So we now have our lifting mechanism, which once I'm in place, I'll get all centered so that everything is centered and it lifts up. And hopefully we'll have enough room for the winch to pull it up the little bit that it needs to go to get off the table. I have this thing hooked up and it's ready to go. Now, I don't have much space up here. As you can see, I maybe have an inch of clearance with this, but all I have to do is get it off the cart so I can move the cart out of the way and then bring it down to the ground. So that's what we're about to do, is see if we can get this thing to lift. Okay, it is now off the cart. We're hanging. Now this strap does not appear to be providing much support, but the 2 side straps do. So my next step is to move the cart out of the way and then bring this down to the ground. But as you can see, I'm rolling the cart out of the way and the load is supported. And if the load were to tip, it would still be supported by the side straps. It's just not great. All right, let's bring it down. Okay. Now it's almost on the ground. I'm not putting it fully on the ground yet because I have my little wheels that I'm going to set underneath it. I do need to at some point get a dolly because that would be a lot easier than these little wheels, but the wheels will do. Let's take it down the rest of the way. By the way, we're lifting about 50 pounds. And we're done. If I come down a little further, you can see the slack. That is the crane. I'm going to hook the crane from here because we have the slack to do it. I'll bring the crane up. Now I'm going to keep a load on this because I don't want it to get tangled. So there's these wires up here. I mean this wire cable. So the wire cable is going back up there. And I'll bring you back up. And I'm just putting tension on it so I can control how it goes up. And there we are. And this as sort of bodged together as it is, there we go. Winch. So moving this box open the way we did would have been a nightmare to do by hand, and we couldn't get the printer to snug into its styrofoam when it was this high. I just didn't have the leverage to be able to do it. When it was down on the ground, I was able to do so. So the crane really helped. Now I am a little concerned because I don't have a lot of space between the top of the workbench and the crane. So if I have a really tall box, I might have to be creative, put the box on its side or something like that. Or possibly I have a lift table, possibly transfer it to the lift table, bring the lift table down and then use it. But we have options now. And while 50 pounds is for some people not bad, I broke my shoulder a few years back, and lifting 50 pounds with this arm is nearly impossible. And this is much easier, and besides it's a winch. I get to have a winch, and so there's a winch. So change of plan. I initially bought full-size straps that basically were not adjustable. This is 15 feet, I think. This is 12 feet, and this is 8 feet. And the problem is that they're not adjustable for the size of whatever it is I'm trying to lift and move. I'm going to keep the 8 feet ones because they're big and heavy duty, and I don't know if I might need them for something. But I'm returning these because they're just the wrong answer for this kind of solution. Instead, I bought a set of ratchet straps and a couple crossovers for the lift, and they seem to work perfectly because then I can adjust the straps to the carton size and then lift accordingly. Turns out that the best way to do it is to get the straps generally placed, hook them to the lift fully down, and then tighten the straps so that there's a little tension on the lift, and that way I can get everything nice and even. So that seems to be the best approach for making this happen. And I think the ratchet straps each have they have basically a 400-pound lift capacity, and I strongly doubt I'll be bringing in here anything over 400 pounds. And if I do, I can use heavier straps. But that's not mine. I'm not lifting engines. I'm lifting, printers and CNC type devices and stuff like that. So let's do a lift and see how it goes. That is pretty darn perfect, if I say so myself. So one thing I noticed last time around is I had some real trouble trying to land the box on these rolling wheels so that I could take it to wherever I wanted to. So this time I've tried the approach of attaching some blue tape to it, putting it under here on an angle. All it has to do is stay stuck for, a minute and have it land on the wheels. So let's try that. Just don't wait too long to get the blue tape on there because it doesn't hold all that well. So, once you've got the wheels on, bring it down. We're down. There we go. And it rolls. So it works. I guess you could use gaffer tape if you wanted to for a slightly better hold, but you'd need to get thinner gaffer tape or rip it. The blue tape's good enough for this purpose. So there you go. For Advanced Geekery, my name is David Gewertz. Go out there and lift something awesome. I have a winch. Did I mention I have a winch? I have a winch. I have a winch. See? I have a winch. How cool is that? Bye-bye.